This is Chips Enough, and you're listening and watching. We go to 11, and you call it. Turn it up.
Why don't you just make 10 louder and make 10 be the top number and make that a little louder?
These go to 11.
Okay, buddy.
You're always fired out of a cannon or shot out of a cannon. I always love chatting with you. I think the last time we chatted was 2 records ago. I think I missed the cycle for interviews because they're always jam-packed. They fill up quick, and you're a character. So I always love catching up with you. New album, Extra Cherries, on Cleopatra Records, coming out this Friday, the 25th of July. So tell us about the record. Heavy metal, really catchy. At first I was like, is this guy going to do like something really like, heavy, like is in a death metal vocal or something like that? And you threw a curve on us again, and it's a melodic masterpiece.
I appreciate that. Yeah, solid record. I believe it. I think it's our 21st studio record.
Yeah.
We've put out so many albums, it's hard to really remember them all. If I sat down and wrote them all out in chronological order, I think we have close to 30 albums out. We counting the live records and extra little things that they put together throughout the years with the little labels. Now we have everything underneath one umbrella over at Cleopatra. But this record right here, a real potpourri, and I use that word quite a bit because it's what it is, of rock, pop, alternative, a little sprinkle of metal, and with collaborations with great musicians throughout the album. And I'm really excited about it. This day and age, to be able to put a new record out is very special.
Right.
And I certainly don't take it for granted.
So Chip, initially, I mean, I heard about the record, it was in the works. Didn't know that it was going to be jam-packed with guests. Was the original the issue then just trying to see who you wanted on the record? I mean, or did you just get one and it just kind of snowballed and you got another and another and another? Because there's a lot of quality, well-known names on here.
Yeah, I'm actually pillaging off all the hip hop guys because you look at their records and there's 5, 6 artists on every single song. I wasn't that extravagant.
Right.
I didn't take that approach. But again, I was recording this record, a lot of songs were stuff that was brand new, recorded early or late last year. Some stuff recorded back in 2017, 2018. Even the Journey track that I did with Robert Fleischman and Neil Sean, that was an old track I did with Neil Sean and Donnie back in 93 in Chicago at Chicago Recording Company. So when I was putting the album together, I just wanted to put together a nice, concise record of good songs. That was the common denominator. Didn't care about anything was new because, to quote the great Steven Tyler, if it's 20 years old, it's new again. So I just, let's just put a record together and try to get the best songs we can and put it together in a nice, concise package. And it was Brian Pereira over at Cleopatra Records that suggested, he goes, man, you got a lot of friends in the business, Chip. You've been doing this a long time. Why don't you call some of them and ask them if they'd be interested and collaborate? Right. And that's exactly what I did. I listened where most people are listening to record companies, and I understand why. In this case, I was lucky enough to take his advice. And the first thing I did was I started tracking songs, and I started with Dax Nielsen from Cheap Trick. I asked if he'd play on the record with me, and Dax is responsible for playing drums on Brainwash Generation. Yeah, he's also on the Finer and Sin record, and he also played on my solo record came a couple years ago called Perfectly Imperfect. Him and Joel Hoekstra play on that record with me. So I thought, maybe if I go and get some cool cats to come out here and play, it would help elevate the band's perception, first of all. Second of all, cleanse my soul, because I love collaborating with great musicians. So we started putting the record together, and then I went through my library that I have at my house. I had these old Journey flight cases that Herbie Herbert gave me years ago. One's a Neil Sean one. The other one is from, I think, Steve Perry. And it's got a bunch of drawers in it. It's a whole wardrobe trunk. It's beautiful R&R cases. And I house every one of that little small compartments with DAT tapes and 2-inch tapes. I have a Brinks truck full of 2-inch tapes won't fit in there, obviously, because I have 100 of them, which that's how we recorded back then, the old analog days. Now with the advent of Pro Tools, I just got a bunch of hard drives and DAT tapes, and I just went through everything, and that's where I found the Neil Sean track, Shine. And I did a record last year with Robert Fleischman, the old singer from Vinnie Vincent Invasion. Also, he was a singer in Journey. He co-wrote Wheel in the Sky and a bunch of songs with Neil Sean. And I thought, maybe if I called him and asked him to do me a favor and play on the record, he would oblige. And I thought it'd be great to have the two Journey guys back together again after all these years. And that was a light bulb moment right there.
Right.
Plus Donnie and I playing together, Donnie playing on piano, got Fleischman singing, Neil on guitar, me on bass. Not sure who's playing drums on it. It's been such a long time. It's been a combination of a couple of different guys, but I redid and fixed the drums up with Dex Nielsen. And then there you go. You got a great track right there. Solid. It's a rock, good message about hope and moving forward in life and never giving up. And there you go. That was the last song I worked on. The rest of the record was basically just luck. Preparation meets opportunity. Say luck is the rest of the design. All those little anecdotes. I think it was just basically a blessing from above. Little Steven's Garage Radio was playing an Enuff Z'Nuff song, and Steve Stevens heard it. It reached out to me on Instagram. He couldn't call because we share each other's numbers. But he reached out to me and said, "Man, I'm such a huge fan of some of the stuff you guys have done. Are you doing another record on the plans?" And I said, "Absolutely." And I sent him Magnificent. And not only did he play great guitar on it, beautiful rhythm guitars, solid as a rock. Giving it that Billy Idol vibe, but played some unbelievable solos on there, and then helped me with the arrangement of the song as well. He's a good songwriter. Thought, well, this will be great to have Steve on the record as well. And then I started moving around the United States just with different players. My guitar player, Jason Camino, called me and said, "Why don't we get Gunnar Nelson to play some slide guitar on that Rolling Stone track, Star Star?"
Yeah.
I normally wouldn't cover a Rolling Stone song. We're more of a Beatle band than the Stones, but I do respect and admire the Rolling Stones strut. And I reached out to the Nelsons. They're putting the book together, so they wanted some quotes for the book, which I obliged. I thought I had known all the stories from the old days. Tour with Nelson in the 90s, following around Skid Row and Guns N' Roses, playing sheds and arenas. We both had some success on our first album, so we toured on those. And he nailed the guitar solos. It sounds like the cat from Foghat.
Oh, yeah.
Just great guitar sound, wonderful. Did 1 or 2 takes. And then, of course, Steve Brown on the Trickster track that he wrote, which is called No Cold Feeling. He bring it down to me and says, "Do your thing to it, Chip." And that's exactly what I did. The perimeters were right there. Wonderful melody line, great rhythm. Dax Nielsen, solid drums on it. And I got Steve Brown's pipes on that track as well. He's a wonderful singer. Very underrated. I love the stuff he did, not only with Trickster, but the stuff he did with Def Leppard is great too.
Yeah.
So before you know it, I got a record and I got all these musicians and players that are collaborating with me. And I just took the ball and ran with it. And the other tracks that you hear on there are just by Guilt by Default. I was lucky enough to work with those cats in the past, had some good stuff. The track with Guns N' Roses, Steven Adler, he recorded those drums back in 2010 at my house in Blue Island, Illinois. I probably got him on 100 songs because I would record and produce these records out of my house, and he'd do all the sound checks. He'd check the drums every single morning. And he'd get out there and he'd play these beats, and they were fabulous. And you could hear the Guns N' Roses as soon as he got on the drums. He had his own timbre. And I just said, I'm going to use this stuff for the rest of my life, and I'm going to have Steven Adler on as many Enuff Z'Nuff records as I can, because his drumming is incendiary and it sings. He's a beautiful player. And there you go. Before you know it, I got myself 6 great musicians who collectively sold over 200 million records, and they're all playing on Enuff Z'Nuff with me, collaborating on some nice pop and rock songs.
Yeah. And it is eclectic, I think, like you said. You were in Adler's Appetite for a little bit, right?
I certainly was. In 2004,
Because
his little brother Jamie came to see us
yeah.
in a place in Vegas and said, "Can I talk to you for a second? My brother's has a band called Adler's Appetite,
Mhm.
and he loves Enuff Z'Nuff. He's a huge fan. He wants you to play in his band." I said, "Nah, I'm really busy with Enuff. No, I'll talk to him." And I met with him, and he was charming to a fault. And we talked about the old days. He says, "Chippy, you guys should have been huge. You came out just a little bit too late."
Right.
That was very kind to him.
Yeah.
And he goes, "I want you to play with us." I go, "What are you doing?" He goes, "Nothing but Appetite for Destruction." I said, "Okay, I'll do it." And I learned all those songs, and it was challenging.
Yeah.
Duff Solid is
Bass
like
player.
very underrated. No one really talks about it.
Yeah.
That record obviously sold a bridge truck full of albums, and those cats were at the top of their game back in those old days. Even if they were doing drugs, it didn't matter. Those songs came out. Izzy, big part of it. Slash, you can't say that. One of my favorite guitar players. Just a great band. Axel, guy can sing the alphabet. He's just wonderful. And when I heard those songs, I said, I liked Guns N' Roses in the early days. I crossed paths with Axel back at Royal Records, Lake Geneva, back in like 1987, 88, when he came and bought some property out there. And it was just a quick hello. And we didn't really get a chance to talk much. But I loved the way he carried himself.
Mhm.
And then here I am now, years later, playing with Steven, and I'm playing those songs that those guys created in 1 year in Los Angeles, Tinseltown, in a small little garage.
Right.
Now here we are relearning those songs and playing them out every night. We'd go over to South America, Steven and I and the band. And there's thousands of people every night that wanted to hear those songs.
Right.
It was such a huge celebration. And wonderful times out there. Steve was in good shape then. He wasn't jacked up. He was clean as act up. He was drinking a little bit. He liked the loudmouth soup, but besides that, he was really curtailing any of the extracurricular activities in the past. We roomed together every single night. I think we created some pretty good stuff together.
Mhm.
So the relationship to this day is still wonderful. And I don't see him a lot because he's touring with his band, which
Right.
is called Adler, and I'm touring with Enuff Z'Nuff.
Right.
But we still send text messages to each other periodically, admiring each other from afar.
Right. Yeah, because I saw you with Adler's Appetite. I think you guys rolled into Portland and played at Dante's, which was a good time. I mean, I remember seeing that show, and it was one of those things where it's like to see that in a small, intimate venue like that was just kind of like seeing GNR way back when I saw him with the Cult. They were both on the rise, and it was just kind of one of those explosive things. But you're right. I mean, I think Duff is definitely underrated as a bass player. For yourself, though, getting back to Extra Cherries, how difficult is it gotten to for you at this point to pick the set list? Because you need to do a couple songs off of that, but that means something goes off the table. If you're in a headlining role capacity, then that means you get more time. But if you're you're in the middle slot or a supporting, you're going to have to whittle that down even further.
Yeah, it's just that's the challenge right there when you have over 20 albums out, what you're going to play live. And obviously the fans want to hear the hit songs, New Thing, Fly Michelle, Baby Loves You, all the stuff we did on Letterman, Howard Stern. You got to play those songs. It's be a disservice not to do that. However, I like to mix it up. I want some of those B-sides and C-side songs in the set as well. And we do that every single night. We find a way to do it. And that Beatle record we put out, I think it was 2019. It was
Right.
called Hard Rock Night, Beatles songs from 67 through 70. I want some of those in there too, because we turn those into our own songs, those great Beatles songs. And I'd like it to be a celebration of wrestling when people come to see Enuff Z'Nuff in concert. And when you do show up at a show, and we're lucky enough that you come out and support us,
Mhm.
the whole set's full of hits.
Yeah.
And it's great. You get Eleanor Rigby in there, and you get Jet, along with the New Things and Fly Michelle's and the Baby Loves You. And maybe I'll throw Love Train in there, or a Little Indian Angel.
Mhm.
And I'll go and do stuff off Brainwash Generation, perhaps, or maybe the Fighter and Sin record. I think the fans are pretty excited about the set list. I try to mix it up every single night. That's one of the challenges. I do want to see AC/DC recently. They were playing Soldier Field,
Right.
and they were absolutely incendiary.
Mm.
It was just it was just chock full of hit after hit songs.
Yeah.
And I think all the bands have that same thing. Most bands don't have the problem because they don't have the catalog of those groups do. But you go see a Guns N' Roses or a Cheap Trick show, and you're going to get, the catalog of material. You're not going to get a lot of ton of the new stuff out there because people aren't aware of that. Radio's not playing. No MTV. There's no VH1. There's none of those stations that are playing. You get pretty much, you're hoping for Sirius XM because terrestrial, they're only going to play the top 25, 30 hit songs. There's not even in the radio station anymore, unless you go over to Monsters of Rock, which is the station I program every single week. You just don't get the new songs mixed in with the old stuff. And that's what I love. I love hearing the newer bands that are out there, the Rival Sons, Dirty Honey, Lemon Twigs, maybe Tyler Bryant, The Shakedown. I want potpourri of that along with the Metallica and Queen and Cheap Trick and Mott the Hoople. I want to mix it up. I'm living in the past in a lot of ways with the music that I enjoy. But I love the newer bands that are out there as well. And you have to find ways to get your stuff played. It's not always easy to get your stuff synced up and get it in a movie, a soundtrack, a TV show, a commercial, like a lot of bands have that contact that they can do. So you got to find other ways. One of the ways is to put the show together and take it to the streets and bring it to every single town you can play in. I think that's the common denominator for most bands right now.
Chip, what's your preference? Is your preference to headline a tour or be in the supporting role, be it first or second?
I like both, to be honest with you. Okay. If there's a big crowd, of course I love the headline. It's great for your ego. It's not about that. But Herbie Herbert used to say to me a long time ago, he goes, those shots that you get where you're opening for a big national act, that's where you got to take your best shot, because that's how Journey got big. Right. They went out and toured up, and they would open for all these bands. After their show, people thought that was the end of the show. They were the headliners. That's how good they were. So if you play a good show and you're singing and playing your ass off and you got good songs, it doesn't matter what it is. I want to play to a good crowd at the end of the day. That's the most important thing. The festival gigs where you're playing Rocklahoma or maybe the Monster Rock Cruise with Larry Moran, those are always great shows where there's a big audience and you can play to your constituents. Those are the ones I really live for, and I love beyond belief. We just played Summerfest in Milwaukee. Fantastic. With Vixen and Sebastian Bach.
Oh, wow.
Ricky Rockets Mafia. Okay. And you get a nice crowd out those shows, and everybody's just celebrating what we do in the music business. It's all about the party at the end of the day and good songs. I think we can provide that to you 24/7, 365 days a year. You just got to call us.
Right. Hey, Chip, I think it was prior to the last interview that I had with you. You had mentioned, I think there was a tour themed after Peacemaker that was going to happen. And I don't think that transpired. I think you mentioned, hey, there could be a chance, we could have Nashville Pussy on there, which would have been awesome. I don't know what other bands were in the works there, but that would have been awesome just to have you and Nashville.
Yeah, and they still, my agency, Artists Worldwide, still talks about that. They wanted to put that together. It's not easy to pull the bands together because everybody's got tight, busy schedules.
Yeah.
We have talked about doing a Peacemaker tour because Enuff Z'Nuff had a couple songs in that show. Fly Michelle and New Thing were both featured on there. And it was a nice little opportunity for us. And I know the director, we tried to get a hold of him through the Nelsons, who are also in that movie. And we talked about going out and all those bands that were in Peacemaker going out and doing like a nice run where almost like a stadium tour, but maybe not playing stadiums.
Yeah.
But playing, theaters or maybe just arenas when you get all those great bands together on one stage. People will come out and see those shows that want to celebrate that 80s and 90s stuff. But it hasn't come to fruition yet, but we're still singing. We're still out there playing. There's an opportunity maybe in 2026, something like that could happen for us, and that would be incredible.
Well, the way you guys generate new albums, you might have a new album by that point.
I have one now. I just can't. Record company said too many songs. We got a problem.
Yeah.
Too many songs, not enough time. So, nowadays bands put 10, 11, 12 songs out. You don't want to overthink it. People have the capacity to grab onto a double record right now. And I get it. There's so much music out there and it's really good stuff.
Yeah.
So you put out your best 10, 12 songs. You take a couple songs off that record. You go out on tour and you put them in the set. You don't want to bore anybody. I think there's a couple singles that we're doing in concert right now off the Extra Cherries record, most notably the first single, which was Heavy Metal.
Right.
And great response so far. And it shows in practice. You know, a lot of the gigs that I'm playing, the kids are coming out because their moms and dads turned them on to our music years ago. And it's passed on. I know when I was a little kid and my dad would play Black Sabbath and Jimi Hendrix. I want to shout out to Ozzy Osbourne, by the way, who we just lost.
Right.
Wonderful musician, great guy who I spent time with over in the studios and back in the 90s, sitting in at the fire escape, sharing Dunhill cigarettes together, watching those cats perform, you know, through a little 6-inch glass window with Vicky Fox.
Yeah.
Great times. And Ozzy just charming beyond belief. But I listened to those old records that my father put that would play for me, you know, Rare Earth and Captain Beyond. You know, it's just Crack the Sky. Bands that weren't really big. Max Webster, along with Rod.
There you go.
And Mount the Hoople and Queen. And that set the tone for me in the future. It really did. And it wasn't for bands like the Beatles, you know, I probably wouldn't be here right now because they were major influences on our life. And we Donnie and I loved that stuff in the early days. And when we put the band together, our common denominator was, we're gonna get jacked up a little bit. We're gonna have some fun. We're gonna burn a candle at both ends, but we're gonna really focus our attention on leaving an indelible mark with great songs. And that's a sound unmodest, but I think that we've captured that in a bottle.
You know, I didn't even know this existed, but I know you guys. Cleopatra put out the rarities and demos. You know, it's like a collection of like three discs. Did I say 3 dicks? I meant 3 discs worth of demos, right?
There's 4 dicks in our band.
So there's 3 discs of demos. A lot of that stuff sounded pretty good for demos. I mean, and the material on there is just catchy.
I appreciate that. You know, a lot of those demos that you got there in the rearies of demos, that was stuff with just Donnie and I in a drum machine and me playing drums, actually, on a lot of that stuff. You know, we were in my friend's basement and we just, his grandmother and grandfather were nice enough to let us record down there. We had a little 4-track TX tape machine. We recorded those songs, just Donnie and I. I played drums and he played guitar. Then we bounced tracks over. I'd play bass and he'd play a little color part maybe. And then we bounced those tracks over and we both sing at the same time in the same mic while I played lead guitar solos and all that stuff.
Nice.
And then we had it. It was those songs we were learning. They're like songs are like embryos. It's like, you know, the beginning of a relationship.
Yeah.
And I stole that quote from Elton John because it's true.
Right.
And then we took those songs and we sat on. We turned our friends on to them. Everybody goes, "You guys got a great band. You got to do something with this." And it gave us confidence. It really did in those early days. And those songs sat. And then when Cleopatra approached us, because they have most of our catalog underneath their umbrella, because it was easier for us to navigate by doing a deal with them. We wanted to have all our records on one label instead of like 10. We went to them and they actually asked us, "Do you have any material you'd like to put out there in demo form?" And I said yes. And then I went to Donnie, and Donnie was adamant against it. He said, "I'm not interested." He goes, "There's a reason we didn't put those songs out, Chip." And I said, "Well, what's the reason?" He goes, "Well, they weren't recorded properly." I said, "Bro, they're demo tapes, and bands are putting out demos all the time. I hear from early Led Zeppelin stuff down to Jellyfish. You know, great bands that are putting out early stuff that maybe wouldn't see the light of day back 20, 25, 30 years ago." And so I went in the studio. I went to Stonecutter Studio in Chicago, a guy named Chris Steinmetz, wonderful producer, great engineer. And we cleaned those DAT tapes up because everything was on 2-track. You can't really add or subtract on them. You know, we cleaned them up really well. And I passed them on to Donnie, and Donnie goes, "You know what? It's got a good energy on this. What's the money?" And of course, money's always the common denominator, and they paid us very well. Brian Pereira was very generous to us. Him and Matt Green and Ken, Ty, and Tim over at the label have been just so wonderful brothers of ours who really believe in the image and the energy and also the history of Enuff Z'Nuff. And we put a nice package together and put that record out there. And people were pleasantly surprised with the songs, but it was early stuff. There's a few things on there with Donnie and Frigo as well, and Vicky Fox. But for the most part, all those demos and rarities is just Donnie and myself in the studio. And I'm playing, it's all live, but I'm playing drums on a lot of that stuff, except for a few songs that were recorded with the drum machine because of we had no players to be early days. But I celebrate that record. It's a beautiful box set.
Mm-hmm.
And it shows the band's the trajectory of Enuff Z'Nuff from the early days up until now.
Yeah. And I don't, like you said, you guys cleaned them up and it sounds pretty good. I mean, for demos, like I've listened to some demo discs that I'm like, oof, why would they put this out? But with this rarities and demos wow, it's worth picking up. So no question.
Thank you, and I appreciate the listening. I'm glad we put that out there because not only was it good to cleanse our souls, but it was during a time where the country was shut down. There was no money's coming in. We couldn't play live shows. You couldn't go anywhere. Couldn't go to church. Couldn't go to see anybody. Couldn't go to visit family. We were all paranoid. Everybody was worried about their health and making other people sick. So we sat in the studio and we made music. That's what I put together at that time. Brainwashed Generation, Fire and Sin, Perfectly Imperfect.
Yeah.
And then a little bit of the extra Cherries. All those records were done during that whole shutdown of our country. So we made the most of it for our time that we were off and we were handcuffed. And here we are now. It's back to freedom. People are out there touring, putting records out there, and sharing the stage with each other. And we're all a part of that. We're grateful that we're able to still move forward.
Hey, Chip, has there ever been a time you did a gig without the hat, the trademark hat and the glasses? Because that would be awkward, I think, to as a fan to go, whoa, wait a minute, where's the hat? Where's the glasses? Or where's either or?
Well, a lot of people no one's ever asked me, to be honest with you, but a lot of people ask Tyler about how he feels looking at the landscape of today and where musicians are out there and they're older and they're not in shape or they don't look the same. And, age it's a bitch. It's always difficult, but, it's a challenge for anybody. And you want to navigate these waters. You have to have a little discipline. It's never hurt anybody. So I've had the look with the hat and shades. That's the way I'm comfortable. And so if somebody came and offered the right amount of chips, maybe I would just come out there and just no shades.
No hat, no shades.
But I think people, they recognize the look, bands have a certain image, and you want to come out that way where you're recognizable and you still look like the guy from the past. Right. And I think I've been able to maneuver my way around where I still have, there's some similarities or still a resemblance to myself from the past. I hope so.
It's awesome because, I've met you after gigs and shade and hats. I've met you walking around the Monsters of Rock cruises that I've been on and shades and hats. So, I mean, it's a trademark. So you got to do it.
Well, Enuff Z'Nuff is a very transparent band.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we go out, we talk to the fans. The fans are our friends.
Yeah.
They gave us a life.
Yeah.
And so, instead of charging hundreds and thousands of dollars for a meet and greet, I'm out there every day after shows. Go right to the merch booth, say hello. People want to get the CDs or the records or a T-shirt, and I'm there to take pictures. That's the indelible mark I'm going to leave at the end of the day. Okay, the great songs that I believe Donnie and I have written and stuff that I've done on my own, I think is definitely worth listening to, or at least taking a chance to take a peek at the catalog. And if it trips your trigger, it's fantastic. And I'm happy to go out there and play every single night for the fans and give the best I got and never mail it in.
Yeah.
And once I can't do that anymore, I'll bow out. But right now, I think I got a solid band. Jason Camino on guitar, Louis Cahill from Red Devil Vortex, fabulous. a prodigy, just way ahead of his time.
Mm-hmm.
And young kid too, just a fabulous singer and songwriter. And then I pillaged Mike Trent from White Lions drummer,
Oh,
Brent Arsman, New Orleans gentleman who has got a better voice than I do and can play drums as good as anybody out there. And that rounds out Enuff Z'Nuff. Come see us in concert,
yeah.
and the music and the performance will speak for itself.
Right.
I don't want to sound like I'm bragging.
Right.
The proof is in the pudding.
Yeah. Hey, do you have a second for a couple more questions and I'll let you go or
Of course.
Okay. So, hey, Chicago guy, again, related to the shades. How big of an influence was Harry Carey on the glasses, the oversized glasses?
Oh, yeah. Absolutely incredible. A lot of people ask me, Chip, are you a Sox or a Cub fan? I like both.
Okay.
My grandfather, Zygmunt, played with the White Sox back in the late 30s. He tried out for the Sox. He played on their team. He was an ambidextrous ball player, through lefty, through righty, batted righty and lefty as well.
Mm-hmm.
I tried out for the White Sox back in the 70s when they were having tryouts for a minor league system. And I went down, pitched down there. I tried out for Cincinnati Reds, Milwaukee Brewers, Kansas City Royals.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful moments. I didn't have a fast enough fastball, but I had a good curve and a slider and a forkball.
Okay.
I could throw the junk really well, but I just didn't have the right representation.
Right. Nice.
There was a guy that was down, worked with the White Sox for years, Penny Centura. He was friends with my father, and they got me a tryout. I could run, I could switch hit. Just, I guess I didn't have enough juice in my fastball to make the major leagues. But I took a lot of those elements from being on a sports team and used it to put together Enuff Z'Nuff. Whereas a little bit of discipline, we really worked on the songs well. We had a lot of rehearsals in those early days. And in the studio was no playing around, even though we found ourselves, we had a propensity to get in trouble in any single moment in those early days. We hung around with a questionable crowd, perhaps.
Right.
But we made the great records at the end of the day, and that's what we were most proud of, to be honest with you. And as far as baseball goes, I like both teams. I root for them both. The Cubs World Series winners, Sox as well. I'd like to see them both do good. Right now, they're both Cubs are doing okay right now. Sox aren't doing as well as I anticipated.
Mm-hmm.
But with a couple of trades, anything's bound to happen, especially with the way baseball's set up right now, where you have a good year, and the winning team ends up trading half their ball club because they're trying to cover yourself on the salary cap. I wish it was like that. It's been rock and roll too, where you can just trade up,
right,
and get different players. Because you see a lot of bands going different ways, but money's not the common denominator when it comes to that. So it's about making good music, and most guys that are successful right now don't want to leave the position they're in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Last question, and then I'll let you go, and I will ask you to do a little intro for this, but this will be for We Go to 11, which has a Spinal Tap-esque type of name to it.
Okay.
Do you have a good Spinal Tap story for Chip Z'Nuff?
Probably quite a few, but they're R-rated. I'm not sure. So
go ahead. We can do R-rated.
Yeah, and I just
or maybe not. Do a cleaner one if you feel better.
Yeah, the ones that I know, there's quite a few Spinal Tap stories. But perhaps one of the good ones is we were on tour with Poison, Quiet Riot, and Warrant. It was a stadium tour. We got lucky. It was a Black Cloud following us in 2001. But Troy Blakely from the Artists of Performing Arts called me and says, "Hey, the girls in my office wanted." We looked at 12 bands. We picked Straws, and then was the winner. You want to go on the tour? I said, "Love to." I told the guys in the band. They thought I was lying to them, but we ended up getting a tour bus and going on tour. And after one of the shows, Mark Ho, the tour manager of that Poison tour, he just got off the Aerosmith tour. He says, "Chip, we're playing Canada tomorrow. I want you guys to leave and go through the border first, because you guys are carrying drugs and alcohol and extracurricular activities, and we don't want to be a part of that." And I said, "Yeah, no problem. We can do that." So after our concert, playing with 15,000 people that night, we packed up our stuff, got in the bus, and went through the border, and got there about 2:00 in the morning. And the security guy stopped. He goes, "Yeah, what do you guys, passports, please?" I had all the passports in my hand.
Mhm.
Everybody was in the back of the bus, all jacked up on drugs. And we handed him passports, and he goes, "Okay, where are you guys going?" I said, we're called Enuff Z'Nuff. We're playing the Molson Amphitheater tomorrow, and Billy Corgan's playing on our new record." And the security guy goes, "Billy Corgan's on the bus?" I said, "No, he's not on the bus, but he's playing on a record. And if you want to come to the show, I'll put you on the guest list. We're at the Molson Amphitheater. Poison, Warrant, Quiet Riot, and Enuff Z'Nuff." He says, "You would do that for me?" I said, "Yeah, absolutely, bro." And I signed an autograph. I gave one of my CDs, and I took his name. And then we got through the border with everything that we carry with us at the time. And trust me, it was a pharmacy on our tour bus. The band's dubbed it the Yellow Submarine.
Oh my God.
And then we got into Canada. We were all fine. And then the next day, we were wondering why all the tour buses weren't at the venue. It's because Warrant, Quiet Riot, and Poison all got pulled over at the border, and they all got searched. And, obviously, Mark Hoag's idea of us going through first, the backfired on him. We got in. Those guys got hassled, and they got searched. They took all the equipment off the buses and stuff, and the semis. It was a pain in the ass for them cats. But they got through it. We got through that show. I remember that night, Donnie jumped off the stage and broke his leg too.
Oh no.
Which was a real drag. So the rest of the tour, he broke his ankle, I think it was. So we had to do the rest of the tour with him on crutches.
Oh.
And that was just another, I wounded ourselves.
Sure.
Once again, we shot our foot off on a great opportunity. We ended up getting through that tour, but there was so many stories on that run. And maybe I'll talk about in the book.
Yeah.
About the Poison guy saying that if anybody's got a Poison pass on, you can't talk to them or look at them. Because we certainly are fans of Trim, and we just couldn't talk to any of the girls at all at the shows because they were considered Poison girls. And then there was some other things too. They wanted a piece of our merchandise money because it was called the Glam Slam Metal Jam Tour. And we were the only band that put those shirts together, and then they wanted a piece of the pie on that. We were making shit money, okay? The bus cost more than the shows would pay us. We were lucky enough to navigate those waters by doing gigs on our off days. And our reputation preceded us, so we'd show up at a venue, and every single promoter out there that would book those shows would have party favors for us, and we just never got behind. And we always stayed behind, never got past the 8 ball on that, no pun intended.
All right, well, Chip, I'll have you do an intro in a minute, but Extra Cherries is the album out July 25th on Cleopatra. I know I'm getting my pre-order. It's on its way. It's got shipped, so I'll have it on release day. Thank you so much.
Thanks, bro. Appreciate your time.
Take care. We'll see you.
Thanks
we'll see you when you play in Portland, man.
I hope the stories were okay for you.
Oh yeah, it's all good. All good. Always a good time. Thank you so much.
All right, buddy. Be
Bye.
safe.